I like both my spouses to have their own credit cards in their own name because
Your spouse is your clients. You don't have multiple spouses.
no, not yet. My clients.
Wow, what's going on over Regina's house?
Woo!
This is the In Your Corner podcast from CBS News Philadelphia. I'm your host, Josh Sidorowicz. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest stressors in a relationship, money. Whether you are getting ready to tie the knot here or maybe you've been together for years, today, this is a conversation that I think every couple needs to hear. And certified financial planner, founder of Forge Wealth Management in Malvern, and author of Superwoman Wealth, Regina McCann Hess, is here to help us have an open and honest chat with our partner about managing our money and our financial goals in marriage. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
Regina is also a certified divorce financial analyst too. So if this conversation doesn't quite work out the way you want it, she does it all.
So usually I'm talking about divorce and money.
Yeah,
Today
yeah.
we're talking about marriage.
We're
and money.
gonna try to keep it together.
Yes,
all right?
yes.
Hold
And
it
my
together.
marriage has kept for almost 31 years. So we got a good track record.
You know, I just celebrated 5 years
Nice.
myself here, and you know, this time of year is a popular time for weddings.
Yes.
You're a June
I am a June bride.
June
Yes.
bride as well.
Yeah.
So I was doing some research before this. There was a 2024 Ipsos poll that found 1 in 3 partnered Americans identified money as a big source of conflict in their
Absolutely.
relationship. No surprise. More than a third saying they think their partner spends too much money on impulses, or they admit that they are untruthful about money to their spouse. 4 in 5, though, think finances should be discussed somewhat early in the relationship. And I did find this reassuring that the vast majority indicate that they are comfortable discussing finances
Oh, yay.
with their partner.
I'm really happy to hear that.
I read somewhere recently that who you marry is the biggest financial decision of your life. Do you think that's accurate?
It could be. It could be. And, you know, it doesn't mean that you both have to be perfect, but there might be a balance. Good balance, you know, the good guy on your shoulder, the bad guy on your shoulder, but like a little bit of a balance and talk about everything, and it could go well.
So, to merge or not to merge? That is the question.
Yes. And I think I
Your
think
money.
a little bit of both. Yeah.
Your
We're
money.
on board for the marriage.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The marriage is yes.
Yes.
It's the money part.
Yes. And I think you do a little bit of both. And I love that the people getting married now are waiting a little bit longer. They're getting their careers started. So they have a little bit of their own money. So they're forcing themselves to understand it. So when they're going into the partnership or the marriage, I think it's good for them each to still have a separate account, but then have a joint account together for their future and for their joint expenses and whatnot. And then they still could have their own accounts for like their own individual goals and just to feel like, hey, you know, I want to have like a little emergency fund just in case something happens and I need to dip into it. And, you know, I may want to spend money on something that we don't agree on, but it can come out of my pile as opposed to our joint pile.
I'm kind of glad you said that because as I mentioned, we're just celebrating an anniversary, and we still have not merged a lot of our accounts. You know, we still have separate checking accounts, we still have some separate savings accounts, but we have opened other joint accounts. So there is something to be said about a balance. You don't need to bring everything together. That's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. And especially if you were a worker bee or a professional for several years and you already have balances and savings and stuff like that. Once you merge it, it does become a marital asset. So, you know, the CDFA in me is thinking, okay, once it becomes a marital asset, it's everybody's asset. Whereas if those earnings or savings that you had before the marriage, if you do keep them in a separate name, they don't get intermingled and they continue to be yours.
Just in case.
Just in case. Not that we're hoping for that.
Now, where do you even begin as you're starting to plan, you know, your life together? What do you recommend is like the first step to sort of just get everything in order and get a handle on it?
Okay. I think one of the first steps is starting that kitchen table conversation, which you know I love talking about. Just sitting down and talking about, okay, well, here's where we both are financially. Here's how much we make. Here's how much we actually bring home, because there's a big difference, as we all know. And in between that, here's how much I'm putting away for retirement, and you know, back and forth going that conversation. Then talking about your personal goals And then our joint goals. What are our joint goals? What do we want our joint goals to be? Is it to buy a house? Is it to, travel? Whatever those goals are, and no one can tell you what those goals are. You have to figure them out yourselves together. And then you still may have separate goals as well. And then just talking about it, and any debt that you have is also really important, not just the assets that you have, and disclosing what assets you have so that you know which each person is coming to the table with. So, is it balanced? Is it lopsided? Do we need to focus on educating one of the spouses in better spending, better saving, debt management, things like that? Because even if you're married, somebody brings debt to the table or to the marriage, they still need to deal with that debt. It's their debt. You don't want it to become your debt,
Right.
but you do have to handle it. And maybe if you discuss it together, you can get an approach or a strategy to knock that debt out.
I mentioned this earlier. So there was, back to that 2024 Ipsos poll, 4 in 5 Americans who were partnered said they think finances should be discussed somewhat early in the relationship, either when it becomes official or when you plan to live together. Do you think that there's an ideal time, or is it never too early?
I don't think it's never too early.
I mean, you don't have to ask them their 401k like on the first date.
Yeah,
but
first date, that's a little too early, right? But if you're dating for, 6 months or 9 months or whatever, and you're starting the discussion of, hey, this is going pretty well, let's move in together. The first step, let's move in together. That's when you should start discussing your finances. Like, all right, well, I make this much. This is how much I bring home. This is how much extra I have every month. This is how much I'm paying towards my rent. And figuring out what you both can afford, I think, is a great way to come into the conversation, and great way to understand each other from where you stand versus where I stand, and what I've been doing, what you've been doing. And we might be able to help each other figure things out a little bit better.
a peek into
Yeah.
that person, right?
It really is.
And what their priorities are. And
Especially because sometimes and this is not a term that I've coined, but I've heard clients say to me, financial infidelity. And I was just like, what do you mean by that? And it's when the other spouse or partner is basically being very secretive of their money and what they're spending it on and what they're saving it on. And that really hurts a marriage. It hurts a partnership. It hurts everything. So if you're having these conversations early, it's going to become the norm, and it's going to become expected, so that, it's okay if we disagree on it, but we still need to talk about it, right?
well, and there is something to be said. I mean, whether it's money or anything, if you're withholding information in a relationship, that's usually doesn't end well.
No.
In the long run. When you talk about like setting shared goals, I think sometimes, or maybe just me, I know that I've struggled where, like, if the goals don't like align perfectly, I feel like, oh gosh, there's some friction there. But you don't necessarily have to perfectly align on everything. I mean, you can make space.
Yes.
You can make that space, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I handle that a lot with my spouses. One may be like super risky, one might be super conservative, and we just find a bridge where we can make both of them maybe not 100% happy, but understanding each other and finding a medium answer that will kind of complement both of what they want and what they need.
I feel like if you can hit on like the big overarching, like, do you want a house?
Yeah.
Do you want a family?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can sort of sort out the details
Yeah.
underneath those big ones, right?
Right. Right.
So, talking about like making the decision of whether you fully combine everything, whether you do some partial. I mean, how do you kind of help your clients navigate something like that?
Baby steps. Right? Baby
yeah.
steps. I think one of the first things with the joint account is, okay, if we're living together and we know what the household expenses are, we should each put our share of the household expenses in that joint account. And if we also have joint savings goals, we each put our portion of our savings goals into that joint account, so that it becomes the middle ground for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. And it kind of gets you both comfortable, because you have to like get more and more trusting and get more and more comfortable with this. And it's not where you don't want to dive headfirst into the shallow pool, right?
Sure.
You get hurt, right?
Yeah.
So this is why you do baby steps into the joint accounts and things like that. And I still do think, especially now, the generation coming up now and getting married, I'm seeing a lot of them still keeping the separate accounts, but doing the joint
Hmm.
accounts with the goals and the expenses and things like that.
It's interesting you say that because I keep going back to the same poll, but there was a part too about how specifically younger people, there is sort of a different level of distrust there,
Mm,
maybe, or just uneasiness
yeah.
about. I don't know what that says, but
I think some of it is because now they've had their own money
hmm
for maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, because I think people are getting married a little bit later. They've had a
uh,
taste of freedom,
yeah,
of financial freedom, and nobody telling them you can do this and you can't do that with your money. And they may be less inclined to give it up, which is good because, you know, if you don't understand what your money is doing for you, that could be a problem that is going to fester underneath. And by the time you realize it, you're going to have a problem.
So a daily, I'm not going to say struggle, a daily occurrence, at least in my relationship, is the healthy debate over just how much we're going to save and how much we're going to leave for discretionary spending. And I imagine I'm not. I mean, that's probably everybody.
I think it's everybody.
I also feel like like there's those memes where inevitably a spender always marries a saver, or right? Like it just always happens that way. It
Yeah.
feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. I see a lot of that.
I hate the advice create a budget, but really, is that what it comes down to? You got to create a budget.
You do. You have to know, and then you can call it something different because budget can be a dirty word.
Yeah,
You
no one
know,
like
your
budget.
your allowance. That's also a dirty word, but just what your spending
We'll
goals
call it
are.
the plan.
The plan. There you
Plan.
go. I think if you have that, and then you check in on it, not just have it, but kind of check in on it, make
Hmm.
sure you're kind of in line with it. I think that will help you just keep on course in order to do it.
Yeah, well, and there's going to be
The ch-
kicking and screaming because I know. So we
yes.
have a our spreadsheet that we keep updated monthly, and we close it out with the expenses and with the
Good
where all the
job.
where all the
Yes.
accounts are at and balances. But it's like an argument each time. They're like, oh, we got to go through.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, but then you can look at it at the end of the month. You can see the charts going up. That's good news.
But here's the thing, that is a great habit. What you're doing is keeping an honest and open conversation. And granted, they're not fun. They're never
No.
fun, especially money. It's like, oh, it's like that yuck.
Hmm.
But the fact that you're doing that every month and having that conversation, you both are bringing something to the table to that conversation. You're both walking away from the conversation with
Oh, that's a good
something,
point. Yeah.
right? But you're talking about it. And that is going to help strengthen your relationship because one of the biggest problems in relationships is money.
Hmm.
But if you're having those conversations openly, even if you disagree, and that's okay to disagree,
Right.
you're still having them and you're both on the same page.
I found it too. It's added some levels of accountability too, right? Because
Yes.
we maybe we don't have to talk about it at the time, but you can look at the chart and go, hey, that credit card balance is a little higher than I thought it was going to be this month. Like, what's going
Yeah.
on over there? And it does kind of force those honest conversations. And okay, but like, see what it did here. Like
Yeah.
maybe we'll try to course correct. But can you tell I'm the nag in the
I call it the hammer. I'm the hammer in my
the
house.
hammer?
They call
Okay.
I didn't name myself that. My family did. Oh, here comes the hammer. Like, thank you.
Nothing gets past her.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, I think and it's not a set it and forget it. You've got to do the regular check-ins.
Yeah, you do.
Do you recommend scheduling something? Like, is this a calendar invite for some of
Yeah,
us? I don't know.
I don't know if I would do the calendar invite, but I love
That's
the
just
sun.
me. I'm
I
just
know, but if you have to, you have to. And actually, some people might need that because they're so resistant to have the conversation. They might need the appointment on the calendar. Like if they are in the working world and they have an appointment on the calendar,
Mhm.
they know have to go. They
Mhm.
have to go. So might work.
Mhm.
But I love the Sunday morning conversation. Like I tell people who like are just starting this, go out to breakfast.
Mhm.
And, if you go to church, go to breakfast, then come back. You have a full happy belly. So there's no,
Good. And no do
there's
it on
no
an empty stomach.
hangry.
Yeah.
There's no hangry
No.
with this conversation. And, you have a nice relaxed Sunday morning and you allot whatever time you need for this conversation. If it's once a month, it's the first Sunday or the fourth Sunday, whichever Sunday of the month, you just know it's a standing
Mhm.
invitation.
I did. One of my best friends, I found out that they were doing it with his partner, and it was like a calendar invite. I think it was in every Saturday or Sunday, or maybe it was I don't know. But I remember initially thinking like, Really? Like you make really? Like okay, but
Some
okay.
people they work that way.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if you'd
that's
met him, you'd understand exactly. He's a consultant,
I was
so
gonna say, is he an engineer
he's a
maybe?
consultant. So there's slide decks probably too.
Oh,
I
no.
mean, you know how they work. God love
Uh,
it. Okay, so you're taking inventory, you're setting shared goals, you're creating a plan. Call it
yes.
a
We'll
plan,
call it a plan.
and then you're keeping that open line of communication.
Yes.
Did I hit
Yes.
it all?
I think so. The only other thing that I'll add is because I think it's easier to take away something that's not in your pocket already is the
Mm-hmm.
1/3 rule. And you may have heard me talk about this before. It's whenever you get a raise or a bonus.
Ooh.
Yes. We all want them, right?
Yes.
So 1/3 goes towards increasing your retirement savings. 1/3 goes towards your rainy day savings. And the other third goes towards your spending. Pat yourself on the back. You did a great job. And this helps with helps with a couple things. It helps increase your savings that you're doing right now, but it also helps the lifestyle creep.
Which is so hard, right? People see a
Yes.
bigger paycheck,
So hard.
and you sometimes drastically change your spending.
Yes, yes. And then you don't realize it. 5 years goes by, 10 years goes by. Now that's your way of living. And how do you go back to,
Hmm.
10 years ago and spend the way you did 10 years ago? It's really hard.
Yeah. It's like when you see these surveys and polls now where people who are making, well above six figures say that they're living paycheck to paycheck. And
Right.
I imagine a lot of it has to do with that sort of lifestyle
Yeah.
creep is you kept increasing your income, but unfortunately you kept getting the nicer car and the bigger house and you stretching
And
that
the
income.
club memberships and
The
this
club,
and
yeah.
that. Yeah. So
And it's hard.
it is hard. It is hard. And I try to practice what I preach, but I also get caught up in it
Heck
too. We're
yeah.
human, right?
Yeah.
And we want nice things. But thankfully I'm also cheap, so certain things I don't get caught up in. All right, frugal. We're gonna say
Frugal.
frugal. I'm not
Let's
cheap.
put it,
I'm not
nicer.
cheap. I'm frugal.
You're frugal with your money.
But it's hard. I mean, I always tell my family or like my kids, like, hey, they went to a high school that the people were loaded, and I was just like, look, we do not have that kind of money. We are not playing keep up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, they got it and they understood. But yeah, you just can't. Otherwise, you're just going to drown.
And sometimes, unfortunately, though, it might take a few years before you can appreciate, like, oh yeah, look at us now, look
Yeah.
at what we've got now
Yeah.
because we didn't do that, and
Yeah.
it will pay off in the long run.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to bring up, Josh. When you look back, like you've been married for 5 years, if you look back at your spreadsheet from 5 years
Yep.
ago, compare it. Do that this month. Compare it. Like, see how far you went. Because month by month, it's nothing,
Oh,
right?
100%. Yeah.
Nothing. But if you go now, 5 years, let's look back 5 years ago when we first started that.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, because we haven't been tracking it for the full 5 years, but enough to look back and go, wow, we've made
Yes.
some serious progress because there were, some deeper arguments about savings and different things, and you're finally having those honest conversations, and yeah, there's a payoff then at the end, and then talking about lifestyle creep and we need that reward. Well, there's a reward of like a different caliber,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And that's enough for me. Maybe not for some people, but
But you're right.
Yeah.
But that is going to motivate you. You see that, like that growth, that is going to motivate both you and your partner to do more and to keep on the track that you're on. Like you can finally see the success that you had with that. You're like, game on, let's
Right.
go.
yeah, the strategy
This
is
is
working.
working.
It's working. Yes. And yes, we can maybe have a few more rewards in the process, but
Maybe take another cruise.
maybe take another cruise. It was a great cruise. Yeah, we just went on one. And it's like before you even get off, you're like, we got to book another one.
We always,
Why did
yeah,
we do this?
Yeah. We book we start
Or just
talking
a
about
vacation in
booking
general,
our
yeah.
next vacation when
When
we're
you're
on
on
spring break.
vacation.
Yep. We were just like, all right, where are we going next year? What are we doing?
You have to. And you know what? We a few years ago we created a vacation account, a high yield savings account where
Yes.
you throw a few $100 a month or however much you can, and you leave it so that
Yeah.
when the vacation does come, you can pay for most of it in full, and then
Yeah.
that's like another little like reward thing, right?
Yeah, have all these little hidden accounts. Like this is way before your time, but when I grew up, we had these little Christmas clubs at the banks, and you would have like an actual passbook that you got at the bank, and you would take your money in every week, and they would update your passbook. And I was like, I got addicted at that point. I was like, oh my God, I keep seeing it go up, go up. And then in December, you would cash it out and buy your Christmas presents for your family. It was so cool. And I was like little. I was grade school.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
A passbook.
A passbook savings account. Obviously, I don't have them anymore, but show my age here.
But same kind of, but I mean, same concept.
You can still
And
do
you can
it
create an
online at
account
the bank.
online.
Yep.
And it's so easy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to have the discipline to put a few bucks aside every month.
But I love what you said, like the vacation club, this account, the
Yeah.
vacation account, this account, that account.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do it.
And it's another way to hold you accountable too. That like, well, we've got this much there, so let's be reasonable with what we're going to get using that money too, right? Do you recommend too, or does it matter? Having your credit cards joint. Both names on the account, or still having, because we have separate credit cards, but everything goes into the spreadsheet at the end of the month.
I think it's a little bit of both. I like both my spouses to have their own credit cards in their own name because
your spouse is your clients. You don't have multiple spouses.
No, not yet. My clients.
Wow, what's going on over Regina's
Woo!
house? All right.
Yeah, this is why she made 31 years of marriage. You took us there. Josh.
Just want to clarify for the people at home
Goodness
who's got
gracious.
spouses.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about your clients and credit cards.
Yes.
Spouses, yeah.
Oh my God, look how red I am. So spouse A and spouse B
Yeah.
should both have their own credit card because they do need their own credit rating. Because if spouse B has the credit card in his or her name and spouse A is just a name on that, they're not getting their own credit score for the most
that's a
part.
good
They're
point.
just an authorized user. So yes, they can have and should probably have a joint account if they do things like that on a credit card, but they should also have separate cards. And that's really, really important for a lot of reasons.
Regina McCann Hess, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Certified financial planner, founder of Forge Wealth Management in Malvern, and author of Superwoman Wealth. Somehow we always find a way to make it fun.
Yes, we do. I love it.
Appreciate that. Always good to see you. Thank you, Regina.
Thank you for having me.